Good afternoon, guys. I wanted to give you my update on my 5-day nutrient fast. It is Saturday, February 2nd. I taught class this morning. They needed a sub at the gym, so unexpectedly I went in and had to teach class this morning, and I just finished up about 50 minutes of some just gentle yoga stretches and poses and things like that. You'll see Piper here. She's play. So anyways, 5-day nutrient fast update. Finished it. I went last Sunday afternoon. I had my last meal late afternoon, mid-evening. It wasn't quite late. It was kind of like a late lunch, not a dinner. And I originally wanted to start the 5-day fast on Wednesday, but I ended up deciding, per my intuition, on starting it Monday. And I normally teach classes on Mondays at in the morning. So that was a little bit difficult, but I still pursued. So with this 5-day nutrient fast, I still continue to do my intermittent fasting, on average 18 hours a day is about 18 to 19 hours a day. And then I would break that, and that part of the fast was just water or herbal tea, but mostly water. And then every day for the nutrient fasting portion, I would incorporate breaking it with a green drink, with my green powders, a little bit of MCT oil, and coconut vinegar. And I'm actually going to drink that right now while we talk because I haven't had anything yet, and it's almost 1 o'clock right now, and I haven't had anything since dinner last night, and we'll talk about that. So I'm going to sip on this while we talk. Normally I call this TaLk with tea because I do a little bit earlier in the day, but because I ended up teaching class this morning, my normal Saturday's been pushed back a little bit, which is perfectly fine. I usually don't do a whole lot on Saturdays. So I'm going to drink my green drink. So every day I had the same drink. Like I said, this is purified water, coconut vinegar. I put a little bit of the organic lemon, pure essential oils in here. My Amazing Grass's watermelon powder, and my Garden of Life pre-workout drink. And again, that's for vitamins and minerals and nutrients. So I had this literally every single day. This is what I broke my intermittent fast with going into the nutrient fast. Now the nutrient portion of the fast, it was typically around 11, 12 o'clock. And then I tried to close that feasting portion around 5. Again, because I have to pick the little guy up from therapy and I'm driving a little bit longer now. By the time I got back here, it put me till about 5 o'clock to get that last drink in. So I'd always break it with my drink, the green drink, and then depending on how I felt, I always typically had shortly thereafter either a matcha green tea nutrient beverage or a medicinal mushroom beverage. And I didn't add a bunch of stuff to these. Again, I was sticking to basically powder and fat. So those always either had the medicinal mushrooms, the matcha green tea powder. Both of those always had cacao butter, which is pure fat, which is my favorite to put in those particular drinks. And a couple times I either added coconut oil or some MCT oil. Now on top of those two powders, I also added a little bit of the Garden of Life meal replacement or protein powder, and a little bit of my whole leaf, real, unprocessed stevia, just like a quarter teaspoon, just enough to give it a little bit extra sweetness. I also always added everyday maca root powder, and again, maca root is very good for balancing hormones, okay, which is what I try to focus on these days, is cleansing, detoxifying, good quality sleep, getting the hormones balanced, and using certain superfoods and superfood powders and or liquids, that's very beneficial to the body, and it helps heal the body along with supporting the body. I'm just going to share this. My diffuser today, and that's going. I'll share the oils, hopefully if I don't forget before we're done, that I've got in the diffuser going. And this is actually blowing in my face right now. And since I've got the diffuser, when I do yoga, I put it right at the top of my mat, and I just let those oils, and I breathe it in. So anyways, that was pretty much how it looked every single day. The same thing when I broke my fast, mid-afternoon, and then like the dinner portion of the nutrient fast was either a medicinal mushroom, another medicinal mushroom type of a latte, or a fatty, savory green drink. And in that fatty, savory green drink, I really enjoyed it because I also have green powder that is just your strictly green powder. It's like your barley grass, your wheatgrass, your spirulina, your chlorella, all your broccoli. It's all this just a savory, it's just a green powder. There's no added sweeteners or anything to that, which the Amazing Grasses uses stevia. But again, it's the whole plant stevia, so it's very minor, and as we know, most people, stevia, it does not spike the blood sugar. That's why it's very friendly in the ketogenic or low-carb paleo type of a eating lifestyle. That's why stevia works well. So anyways, the savory green drink that I had started, I used a vegetable bouillon, which was organic, and it didn't have any junk in it. It didn't have any funny business in it. It just basically was made from your vegetables and a little sea salt, and it had some oil in it, but it was not hydrogenated. A lot of times in your bouillon cubes, they can be beneficial, or like your bone broth, but you want to make sure it doesn't have any hydrogenated oils or like MSG in there. Okay, so I took that with 2 to 3 cups of water and 2 tablespoons of olive oil, a tablespoon of MCT oil, and the green powder, and blended that all up, and that was a delicious, fatty, savory green beverage soup. It was just really clean, really good. I really, really enjoyed that. Now through this nutrient fast, I kept my fat, I still kept my fat in there on top of the powders, and just did not eat solid food for 5 days, 5.5 days-ish, somewhere in there. And that kept me satiated, and because I'm already, and I continued the intermittent fasting. So because I've already been intermittent fasting for a period of time, and I've already been eating a high-fat, plant-based lifestyle, that really helped with this fast. The only day I really struggled was Tuesday, which was to be expected because I exerted a lot of energy on Monday teaching class, mentally and physically. And then Tuesday, I just got a really good night's sleep, and my energy was sustained the entire week. It was quite incredible. I didn't have any lows, like a mid-afternoon slump or anything like that. All right, so I really think if you do this the right way, just about anyone can do this for a couple days and just not eat solid food, but you're still getting those nutrients in the body, still taking some plant fiber in there, and those healthy fats keep you satiated. And my calorie count was probably typically 900 to 1,200 calories a day, depending on how much fat I added, because the green powders, like this, don't have a lot of calories in them, or the protein powders don't have like a ton of calories in them. So the fat that I was taking in, even though it was lower than normal, was still keeping me very satiated. Now, I was also testing my blood glucose during this time, doing my weight. My weight did go down, I think, 3 pounds, but again, I think it went up due to some food choices on Sunday. I mentioned that before. So basically, I was down 3 pounds. And what I did notice with the blood glucose is it kept dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. So I would test it in the morning always, and in the evening before bed after I had my last meal by a couple hours. And sometimes in the middle of the day, depending on what was going on, just so I could see how it would react to certain things. And the one thing I noticed is with the intermittent fasting, the nutrient fast, and the high fat, that it kept dropping. I think the lowest it had gotten down to was like 56 or 58 in the evening. So it'd actually be higher sometimes in the morning because of your cortisol, and sometimes cortisol will spike insulin and glucose, to wake you up. But I definitely noticed the low numbers in the evening. And again, I was having absolutely no hypoglycemic responses. I know exactly what those signs and symptoms are, and I actually had none of those. So I wasn't concerned about that, but that just was a good tool to tell me that something was working, which means that blood glucose keeps dropping, those ketones start rising, and your body's taking care of itself. It's healing itself. So that's a good sign. So every day was pretty much the same, minus a couple things here or there. But the blood glucose kept dropping, and it stayed low in the 50s at night, and then 50s or 60s in the morning. So Friday morning, I woke up at 4:30 yesterday, wide awake. I had plenty of sleep because I had been going to bed early every single night. And I'm usually in bed by 9:30 anyways to do my meditation and go to bed because we're up at 6:30 in the morning typically. So yesterday I woke up wide awake. I laid in bed. I didn't want to get out of bed just yet. So I did some gentle stretches and I got up and started getting around. And I just continued on. And in the morning when I woke up, I was debating on whether or not I wanted to continue the fast into today until I drank this, or if I wanted to break it with solid food yesterday evening. And I was just gonna wait. I wasn't gonna make this decision 100%. It was just like a wait and see type of thing. Here, let me get a little closer here. It's the light. So anyways, I decided after being up since 4 o'clock yesterday morning and being in constant motion till probably mid-afternoon, probably 3:30, 4 o'clock-ish, I decided that I was going to break my fast. Now, I probably didn't do it the best way. When you do an extended fast, you really have to be mindful and careful on how you break that. But when I go into my water fast around springtime, I'm going to have to be really conscious about how I break that, and I'll talk about that in a second. So I broke it. I had already had my green drink for the day in my feasting window, and I'd already had like a latte. So I've had a substantial amount, like 600 or 800 calories already just from liquid nutrients at this point. So I decided to break that. I had some food, some nuts and things like that, and I made a little like protein bar that I wanted to try that had chia seeds and things like that. That turned out really good. And so I broke my fast. No big deal. I tested my blood glucose yesterday evening, and like I said, the blood glucose all week had already been in the 50s and 60s. Consistently after a couple days, morning and evening, morning and the evening. I can't talk today. So I tested it last night, probably about 3 or 4 hours after my last meal, my solid meal. And it was 101. not a number I want to see, so that tells me that my body was kind of readjusting to taking food back in, or the foods that I were eating, like nuts and things like that, could have caused an insulin or glucose reaction, which also could mean that I potentially may be slightly allergic. Not full-blown allergic, but allergic enough to cause an insulin spike or blood glucose spike, because when that spikes, that may be an indication that you have an intolerance to that food, a low-grade intolerance. So I'll keep testing it with the nuts and things like that to see if there is an intolerance, because I hadn't had any of that all week, and the blood glucose kept going down and down, which before that it was staying in the 70s and 80s. So it is possible that I had a reaction to it, or it was just because I hadn't eaten anything solid all week and my body was just kind of readjusting. Dial it into this morning. I woke up, got a text saying that they needed an instructor to teach, so I'm kind of glad that I did break my fast last night with some calories, with some solid food. Not that I couldn't have taught this morning, but it might have been a little less energetic than I normally like to be when I teach a class. And that affects everyone in the class besides myself. So I tested my blood sugar this morning upon waking, and my last meal was like 6 or something the night before, so we'll say it was 12, 13 hours fasted through the night, and it was 80. So again, for most people, that's pretty good. I like to see my numbers now that I know that they can get there in the 60 to 75 range. 80 would be pushing it. And we have to remember too, exercise can stress the body and can cause glucose to go up. So I taught a really good class. It was high intensity weights, hearts were pumping. So I was just curious before I broke my fast, which I'm doing now, if my blood glucose went up. And it did. It went up 5 points. It went from 80 this morning to 85, and this was with nothing but water on my stomach and a little bit of herbal tea. Nothing in the tea, just herbal tea. So that's a good indication that exercise for me, if it's too intense, can spike that blood sugar. But it can also, and I did that in a fasted state. So I worked out this morning in a fasted state, water, nothing else. I didn't have any herbal tea before class. I just had water. So when I broke my fast today with the green drink, I think I'm in 19 hours fasted, clean fasted. So overall, it was a great fast. Very enjoyable, very pleasurable. I did get there towards the end of the last couple of days where I just had that sensation of wanting to chew something or nibble on something. That was more mental than physical, because I physically was not hungry. I really didn't get hungry at all this entire time. Maybe Tuesday a little bit because I was a little bit overly tired, but that can happen. But overall, it was a great experience. I probably will do it again at some point. Now I'm just going to warm it up and do a pure water fast. So when I first started this fast, I decided I was going to do 3 type of protocols. But instead of doing that second protocol, I think by springtime, I'm just going to do a water fast. And the goal will be 4 to 5 days, water only. Unless I decide to do water and herbal tea. We'll see how that goes. From everything that I've been listening to in the research, they say just do water. And then if you need electrolytes, make sure you're still getting in like a little bit of sea salt or something like that, because you don't want that to go imbalanced. Because when your electrolytes go imbalanced, that's when people usually start to struggle a little bit more when they're fasting. And you have to be safe about fasting. Like I said, you need to do your research. I've done many fasts and cleanses over these past 6 years, and I've tried a few different ones. So I always say do your research and start with baby steps. Start with 1 day, or 2 days, or 3 days, and then expand it from there. So overall, 5 days, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I do it again. My next goal is a 5-day water fast. And when that comes up, I'll let you guys know. I'm going to try and do that around the spring equinox. We'll see, because I try to fast properly according to my cycle. And I say that because I notice with my hormones, when they start fluctuating during ovulation and my actual cycle, it's a lot harder to eat a certain amount of calories if I'm restricting, or certain foods I tend to crave more. So you have to kind of play that in there. And I've noticed this over the last 3 years, becoming more and more in tune with my body and my cycle, to understand that there are certain times of the month where I need more calories, more fat. I may even need just a little bit more carbohydrates from plant foods and things like that. So anyways, that's just a quick update, guys. This video is going about 20 minutes. I usually do 15, but that's okay. So yesterday you'll see my mala. So I invested in, this is a multicolored tiger's eye. All right. And its meaning here is the stone is most recognized for bringing money, psychic protection, courage, luck, confidence, willpower, clear thinking, and speaking, and to show us our personal power in life. It's very versatile for the yellow or solar plexus and the crown chakra. So your solar plexus is right about here, and of course your crown chakra is here, if you're into like meditation and your chakras and things like that. Let's see, it works on the mental plane by amplifying thinking and manifesting what you think about, and it helps separate thoughts from your feelings and brings you to be more centered, less emotional, in the sense that you don't get off kilter with your emotions. And it allows us to recognize both our talents and our faults, and it can reveal our true needs without self-serving or rigid mental attitudes getting in our way. Okay, so I treated myself not with food, I treated myself with a mala. So I can use this for meditation. There's 108 beads on here, which is a very sacred number. You guys can look into that. So I wanted to show you the 2 oils that I'm using today. We got clary sage, okay, Ladies, this is great for supporting female health and hormones, and especially around your menstrual cycles. And the other oil I'm using is tangerine. I like tangerine over like your sweet orange. I like this one a little better. So not only are those in my diffuser blowing in my face, but they're also on my body, on my face. I use it as my deodorant today. So anyways, guys, that's just my update for my 5-day nutrient fast. It went amazing. If you ever are interested in fasting or have any questions for me personally, you can type or comment below. I'll leave my information down there if you want to email me. I will post this video on Facebook as well, and you can always private message me. Again, there's tons of information out there, but if you're listening to the information that tells you that fasting is not good for you, you need to look away, because fasting has been around for thousands and thousands of years in many, many cultures. There's always been times of feast and famine, but we live in a world of abundance or overabundance, and we need to step back and let our bodies heal and rest, and you cannot do that 100% by eating all the time or drinking food all the time. Again, this wasn't a pure 100% water fast because I was still taking nutrients in, but a large chunk of this fast was intermittent fasting with pure water or herbal teas. And then I had a small window every day between 4 to 5 hours where we would take those nutrients in, and then that was it. Okay, it wasn't a feast. I had a feasting window, and I still had a pure fasting window. So those two in correlation did amazing wonders. I feel great, and I'm hoping to really go deeper with my next fast, which will be a water fast. So you guys have an amazing day, a blessed day. I send lots of love and light. Namaste.